I used to be able to talk okay, but
You sound great.
no, in 1973, I had a burnout. And I'll tell you, you don't recover from a burnout.
You sound fine to all of us.
Pardon me?
You sound fine to everyone.
Thank you.
So, do you remember what you were doing the first time you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, I can tell you that. I was in quarantine for scarlet fever for 3 weeks. And since my mother used to teach Japanese conversation and elementary Japanese, plus, let's say, what you should do, customs and how to act in the regular community. My father and I were loaned a place, or one of the person lent us a house, and my dad took care of me for 3 weeks while my mother continued them. And when I got, just when I got out of the 3 weeks, then I heard that the owner told us that Japan dropped drums on Pearl Harbor, and we didn't know where Pearl Harbor was. In fact, we didn't know where Hawaii was at the time.
Well, what was your initial reaction to hearing that Japan dropped bombs?
Well, we thought nothing of it. My dad and the owner that owned the place that we were staying, I think they were a little concerned. And then rumors started about, then they made raids on, there was 50 families on Bainbridge Island, and the FBI made a raid on the different families. They had probably 50 agents that went to each place. The agent that came to our place was very nice. They would, look at your books and all that. And I can remember one incident where the Seventh-day Adventists, I think it's a church, I don't know if it's, but they're a Christian philosophy. They used to go out and bring these little books, and you gave them a little contribution, and as poor as we were, my dad would always give them something, whether it might have been a nickel, or I don't think more than 10 cents in those days, because the 10 cents and 5 cents was a lot. But so when they went through our house, they saw these little magazines that were printed in Japanese, and one agent got real excited and went to my father and says, "What's this?" And my father said, "It's a Seventh-day Adventist." And he put it back. But some of the places, the agents were not that nice. They just tore out and pulled all the books and put them on the floor and kicked things around. But we have to say that the agent that came to our place was very, very nice.
Did you, I'm asking a long question so I can adjust this. I'm going to move this up a little bit more. Did you hear of anybody on Bainbridge Island who was treated that way?
Oh yeah, and there was a lot of them there that we met later when we met them in camp, and they were telling about, agents that came and made the raid. Then after that, the agents made a raid, and the farmers were clearing new land because the new land is more fertile, and they had dynamite sticks around. And most of the people that had that, they picked up the head of the household and took them to what they called the justice camp right away.
So What was the reaction of the community to Pearl Harbor? Like, did any of the way that your friends looked at you change, or did your friends' parents
Well, first of all, I have to tell you, the Japanese were on the island, couldn't believe it. Who is bombing the United States? You know, here's a little island that they can remember, would come over and drop bombs on in Pearl Harbor. The other people, at least outwardly, were very nice, or at least our friends. We did find that when the time of the evacuation, I remember one fellow, I was kind of surprised. One told the sentry that was taking us away, he says, I'm glad you're taking them away. And he happened to be a distributor for one of the large oil companies that used to supply the farmers with, you know, oil and gasoline for their tractors. And that was kind of, but so many nice people came out to see us when we went that I guess it didn't even faze us at the time. Excuse me.
So once you learned more about the situation with Pearl Harbor, what was like your family's reaction? Like, did they think like it was a mistake, or what did you think at the
Well,
time?
actually, they were saying like it was the military. They didn't believe that the Japanese people were behind it, but it was the military that took over Japan, and they were on the roll. They wanted to expand Japan. They went all over. But of course, they didn't believe that Japan would do that. You know, attack United States. That was really ridiculous for them. And they figured that the war would be over in maybe about a month or two, because they didn't think Japan would be able to hold up. But after, well, maybe they then they froze our assets. If we had money in the bank or anything, and the banks were not that popular they are today, they froze all the accounts, so now all of a sudden we didn't have any money, whatever they had. And then, of course, then rumors start circulating that they're going to move the Japanese out of Bainbridge Island. And I remember when the rumors on that, but our parents said, well, you won't have to go, you're an American citizen. But they'll probably, and I have to point out that the parents couldn't become American citizens because of a law, that Oriental Exclusion Act in 1925 said that the Asians that came from Japan cannot own land or become citizens. But under the 14th Amendment, the children could become. If you're born in the United States, the children are American citizens, and that's how. So they said to us, well, you know, they won't move you. And the way they talked about it is, we thought maybe we were just going to go away for maybe 3 weeks. It was going to, actually, they kid about it. He said, it's going to be a big vacation for you. So people on Bainbridge Island, they got their neighbors, they left their things with their neighbors and their friends and got on the train. And, well, actually, they told us we had to be ready, and they came around with trucks and soldiers on the trucks, picked us up. We got on the ferry, went to Seattle. They put us on a train, and we went down to Manzanar.